Have you ever noticed how after a painful breakup, we tend to build walls around our hearts? We tell ourselves we're protecting ourselves, but what if I told you that true detachment doesn't require closing your heart at all? Welcome to Quantum Love, where we explore the deeper dimensions of relationships and consciousness. Today we're diving into something I call quantum breakups, a revolutionary approach to ending relationships that allows you to let go completely while keeping your heart wide open. This isn't about forgetting someone existed or pretending you never loved them. It's about understanding that detachment and an open heart aren't opposites, they're actually partners in your healing journey. Let me start with a story. I once knew someone who went through a devastating breakup. She did everything the traditional advice told her to do. She deleted all the photos, blocked her ex on social media, threw away anything that reminded her of him, and tried to act like those 3 years together never happened. 6 months later, she was still miserable. She hadn't just detached from her ex. She had detached from her own capacity to feel love, joy, and connection. That's when she discovered something profound. The problem wasn't that she hadn't detached enough. The problem was that she had confused detachment with emotional shutdown. She had closed her heart thinking it would protect her, but all it did was trap the pain inside. So what is quantum detachment? In quantum physics, particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until they're observed. Similarly, in quantum detachment, you hold space for multiple truths at once. You can acknowledge that the relationship was real and meaningful while simultaneously accepting that it's over. You can love the person you were with while detaching from the need for them to be in your life. You can feel gratitude for what you shared while releasing any expectation of what could have been. This is where most people get stuck. We think we have to choose. Either we love them or we let them go. Either we cherish the memories or we erase them. Either we keep our hearts open or we protect ourselves. But quantum thinking shows us there's a third way. A way that honors all the complexity of human emotion without getting trapped in it. The first principle of quantum detachment is this. Your heart's capacity to love is not diminished by loss. Think about that for a moment. When a relationship ends, we often feel like our ability to love has been damaged or destroyed. But that's an illusion. Love isn't a finite resource that gets used up. It's more like light. It can shine through anything without being diminished. When you close your heart after a breakup, you're not protecting yourself from future pain. You're actually preventing yourself from accessing the very energy that can heal you. An open heart is a healing heart. A closed heart is a heart that stays wounded. Here's the quantum shift. Instead of asking, how do I stop loving this person? Ask yourself, how can I love myself enough to let them go? Instead of trying to shut down your feelings, expand them. Feel everything. The sadness, the anger, the grief, the relief, the hope, the fear. Let it all move through you like weather moving through the sky. The second principle is understanding the difference between attachment and connection. Attachment says, I need you to be happy. Connection says, I appreciate what we shared and I'm complete within myself. Attachment is based on lack and fear. Connection is based on abundance and love. When you practice quantum detachment, you're not severing the connection you had with someone. You're releasing the attachment. This is a crucial distinction. The memories, the lessons, the growth you experienced together, these remain part of your story. But the need for them to fulfill you, validate you, or complete you, that's what you're letting go of. Think of it like this. Imagine your relationship was a beautiful dance. The dance has ended, but the music you learned to move to is still inside you. You don't have to destroy the music to stop dancing with that particular partner. The rhythm, the grace, the joy you discovered through that dance, those are yours to keep. But you're no longer attached to needing that specific partner to experience those feelings. This brings us to the third principle. Detachment is an act of love, not an act of coldness. When you truly detach from someone, you're actually loving them enough to set them free. You're saying, I care about you enough to release you from any obligation to make me happy. I trust myself enough to find wholeness without you. I honor what we had by not clinging to what can no longer be. This kind of detachment requires tremendous courage and self-love. It's so much easier to close your heart, to become bitter or cynical, to tell yourself that love isn't worth it. But that's the path of the wounded ego. The path of the awakened heart is different. It says, yes, this hurt, and yes, I'm going to let myself feel it fully, and yes, I'm going to keep my heart open anyway because that's who I am. Now let me address something important. Keeping your heart open doesn't mean staying in contact with your ex. It doesn't mean being friends if that's painful for you. It doesn't mean exposing yourself to situations that reopen wounds. Boundaries are essential. You can have crystal clear boundaries while still maintaining an open heart. In fact, healthy boundaries are what make an open heart possible. Let's talk about the practical side of quantum detachment, because understanding the concept is one thing, but living it is another. The first thing you need to understand is that detachment is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then you're done. It's a practice, a daily choice, sometimes a moment-by-moment choice to release what no longer serves you while keeping your heart open to life. One of the biggest mistakes people make after a breakup is trying to rush the process. We live in a culture that's obsessed with speed. We want fast food, fast internet, fast results. And so we think we should be able to fast-track our healing too. But the heart doesn't work on a schedule. Quantum detachment honors the natural rhythm of grief and growth. Some days you'll feel free and light. Other days you'll feel like you're back at square one. Both are part of the process. Here's a powerful practice for maintaining detachment while keeping your heart open. I call it the quantum observation technique. In quantum physics, the observer affects what's being observed. Similarly, how you observe your thoughts and feelings about your ex will determine whether those thoughts and feelings keep you trapped or set you free. When a thought about your ex arises, and it will, don't try to push it away. That's resistance, and what we resist persists. Instead, observe the thought with curiosity and compassion. Notice it the way you might notice a cloud passing through the sky. Oh, there's a thought about the time we went to that beach together. Oh, there's a feeling of sadness. Oh, there's a memory of our last conversation. You're not identifying with these thoughts and feelings. You're not becoming them. You're simply witnessing them. This is where the magic happens. When you observe your thoughts without judgment, without trying to change them or make them go away, they begin to lose their power over you. The thought can be there, the feeling can be there, and you can be okay. You're creating space between your essential self and your passing experiences. That space is freedom. That space is detachment. But here's the quantum part. While you're observing these thoughts and feelings with detachment, you're simultaneously holding your heart open. How? By adding compassion to the observation. When you notice a painful thought or feeling, you might silently say to yourself, I see you, I feel you, and I'm here for myself through this. You're not closing down, you're opening up to your own experience with kindness. This might sound paradoxical. How can you be detached and compassionate at the same time? But that's exactly the point. Quantum detachment isn't cold or distant. It's warm and spacious. You're detached from the story, from the need for things to be different, from the craving for your ex to come back or for the pain to disappear. But you're deeply attached to your own well-being, to your own growth, to your own capacity to love and be loved. Let me share another crucial insight. One of the reasons we struggle to detach is because we've made the relationship part of our identity. We've said things like, I'm not complete without them, or they're my other half, or I do not know who I am without this relationship. When the relationship ends, it feels like we're losing ourselves. Quantum detachment invites you to remember that you were whole before this relationship, you were whole during this relationship, and you are whole after this relationship. The relationship was an experience you had, not who you are. This is a fundamental shift in perspective. You are not your relationship status. You are not your romantic history. You are the conscious awareness that experiences all of these things. Think of yourself as the sky and your relationships as the weather. Sometimes the weather is beautiful, sunny, perfect. Sometimes it's stormy and dark, but the sky remains the sky regardless of the weather. The sky doesn't close itself off when a storm comes. It allows the storm to move through. That's what an open heart does. It allows all experiences to move through without becoming those experiences. Now let's address one of the most challenging aspects of breakups, the tendency to replay conversations, to obsess over what went wrong, to create mental movies of different outcomes. Your mind will want to figure it all out, to solve the puzzle, to understand exactly why things ended the way they did. This is the mind's attempt to regain control in a situation where you feel powerless. Here's what quantum detachment teaches us about this. The need to understand everything is another form of attachment. You're attached to having answers, to having closure, to having it all make sense. But life doesn't always make sense. People are complex. Relationships are mysterious. Sometimes things end not because someone did something wrong, but because the energy that brought you together has completed its purpose. This doesn't mean you shouldn't reflect on what happened or learn from the experience. But there's a difference between healthy reflection and obsessive rumination. Healthy reflection says, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? What patterns do I want to change? Obsessive rumination says, if only I had done this differently. If only I had said that. If only they had understood. Do you see the difference? One moves you forward. The other keeps you stuck. The practice here is to notice when you're ruminating and gently redirect your attention. Not by forcing the thoughts away, but by choosing to focus on something else. This is where keeping your heart open becomes practical. Instead of closing down and getting lost in painful thoughts, you open up to the present moment. You feel your breath. You notice the sensation of your feet on the ground. You look at something beautiful. You do something kind for yourself or someone else. Every time you make this choice, you're strengthening your capacity for quantum detachment. You're training yourself to be present with what is, rather than lost in what was or what might have been. And you're doing it with an open heart, with self-compassion, with gentleness. Let's dive deeper into something that often gets overlooked in the conversation about breakups: the spiritual dimension of letting go. When we talk about keeping your heart open during detachment, we're really talking about maintaining your connection to love itself, not just love for a specific person, but love with a capital L, the universal force that animates all of life. Here's a profound truth that quantum detachment reveals: you cannot lose love. You can only lose a particular form that love was taking in your life. The person may be gone, but love remains. Your capacity to give and receive love is still intact. In fact, it may be even more available to you now because it's not channeled exclusively toward one person. Think about it this way. When you're in a relationship, especially a serious one, most of your love energy flows toward your partner. That's natural and beautiful. But when that relationship ends, all that love energy is suddenly available. The question is, where will you direct it? Most people in their pain direct it inward in destructive ways. They become self-critical, self-punishing, self-doubting. Or they close off entirely and redirect that energy into work, distractions, or numbing behaviors. But quantum detachment offers a different path. Take all that love you were giving to your ex and turn it toward yourself, toward your healing, toward your growth, toward your life. Not in a narcissistic way, but in a deeply nurturing way. Love yourself the way you wished they had loved you. Show up for yourself the way you showed up for them. This is how you keep your heart open. You keep the love flowing, you just redirect the flow. One of the most powerful practices I can share with you is what I call the gratitude transmutation. This is where quantum detachment becomes almost alchemical. Instead of trying to forget your ex or wipe them from your memory, you consciously choose to transmute the pain into gratitude. Not fake gratitude, not forced positivity, but real, genuine appreciation for what the relationship taught you. Here's how it works. Make a list of everything you learned from this relationship. And I mean everything. Maybe you learned what you don't want in a partner. That's valuable. Maybe you learned that you have a pattern of ignoring red flags. That's crucial information. Maybe you learned that you're stronger than you thought, that you can survive heartbreak, that you can love deeply even if it doesn't last forever. These are gifts, even if they came wrapped in pain. When you approach your past relationship with gratitude, something miraculous happens. The energy around it shifts. You're no longer a victim of what happened. You're no longer defined by the loss. You become someone who gained wisdom, strength, and self-knowledge through the experience. This is detachment at its finest. You've released the bitterness, the resentment, the what-ifs, and you've kept the lessons, the growth, the expansion. But let me be clear about something. Gratitude doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. If you were mistreated, manipulated, or abused, you don't have to be grateful for that. What you can be grateful for is your decision to leave, your courage to choose yourself, your awakening to what you deserve. Gratitude doesn't mean condoning what happened. It means extracting meaning and value from your experience so it doesn't go to waste. Now let's talk about one of the most difficult aspects of keeping your heart open: dealing with the fear of loving again. After a painful breakup, it's completely natural to think, I never want to feel this way again. The heart has been hurt, and the ego steps in with a solution. Never be that vulnerable again. Build walls. Be more guarded. Don't trust so easily next time. Keep your options open. Don't invest too much. This is where many people unknowingly close their hearts. They think they're being smart, protecting themselves, learning from their mistakes. But what they're really doing is ensuring that their next relationship will be less intimate, less authentic, less alive. Because love requires vulnerability. Connection requires openness. Intimacy requires risk. Quantum detachment teaches us something radically different. The lesson isn't to love less or to protect yourself more. The lesson is to love more wisely, with clearer boundaries, with better discernment, with stronger self-knowledge. But the loving itself, the openness itself, the willingness to be vulnerable, that shouldn't diminish. If anything, it should deepen. Here's the quantum shift. Instead of saying, I'll never let someone hurt me like that again, say, I'll never abandon myself like that again. Instead of, I need to be more careful with my heart, say, I need to honor my heart more deeply. Instead of, I was too trusting, say, I didn't trust myself enough to leave when I saw the signs. Do you see how this keeps your heart open while actually making you wiser? The fear of loving again is really a fear of losing yourself again. And that's a valid fear if you've experienced it. But the solution isn't to close your heart. The solution is to strengthen your connection to yourself so that no matter what happens in your relationships, you remain anchored in your own truth, your own worth, your own wholeness. This is what I mean by quantum detachment. You're detached from the outcome. You're not controlling, grasping, or desperately trying to make things work, but you're attached to yourself, to your values, to your boundaries, to your well-being. From that place of inner security, you can love freely, openly, generously, because you know that even if it ends, even if it hurts, you're not going to lose yourself in the process. Let me share a visualization that can help with this. Imagine your heart as a house with many rooms. When you're in a relationship, you invite that person into your house. You show them around, you let them into various rooms, you share your space with them. When the relationship ends, that person leaves. Now, a closed heart would board up all the windows, lock all the doors, and vow never to let anyone in again. But an open heart with healthy detachment does something different. You let the person leave. You don't chase them. You don't beg them to stay. You don't leave the door open hoping they'll come back. You close the door gently but firmly. Then you walk through your house, room by room, reclaiming your space. You clean out anything they left behind that no longer serves you. You rearrange the furniture to suit your needs. You open the windows to let fresh air in. You make the space fully yours again. And here's the key: you keep the doors unlocked. Not for your ex to return, but because you trust that when the right person comes along, you'll know whether to invite them in. Your house is your sanctuary, but it's not a fortress. It's a home that can welcome love when love appears, but it's complete and beautiful even when you're the only one living there. This is the art of quantum detachment. You're separate but not closed. You're independent but not isolated. You're whole on your own, but still open to connection. As we come to the final part of our journey through quantum breakups, I want to talk about something that ties everything together: the practice of presence. Because ultimately, the ability to detach without closing your heart comes down to one simple but profound skill: being fully present with whatever is arising in this moment without needing it to be different. Most of our suffering after a breakup doesn't come from the breakup itself. It comes from our resistance to what is. We suffer because we want the past to be different. We suffer because we want our ex to come back. We suffer because we compare our current reality to the fantasy of what we thought our future would be. All of this suffering happens because we're not present. We're lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. Quantum detachment brings you back to now. Right now, in this very moment. Are you okay? Not in your story about what happened or what might happen, but right here, right now. Are you breathing? Is your heart beating? Are you alive? When you come back to the present moment, you often discover that you're actually okay. The pain you're carrying is largely mental and emotional. It's the story about the breakup, not the breakup itself. This doesn't minimize your pain. Pain is real and valid. But there's a difference between clean pain and dirty pain. Clean pain is the natural grief that comes with loss. It's the sadness, the longing, the adjusting to a new reality. Dirty pain is all the extra suffering we add on top through our thoughts, judgments, and resistance. When you practice presence, you can feel the clean pain. Honor it. Let it move through you without getting buried under layers of dirty pain. Here's a practice that brings quantum detachment into your daily life. Several times throughout your day, pause and ask yourself this question: in this moment, am I attached or am I present? If you notice you're attached, your mind is spinning stories about your ex, replaying memories, imagining conversations, calculating what went wrong. Simply acknowledge it. I'm attached right now. Then gently bring yourself back to presence. Feel your body. Notice your surroundings. Take a deep breath. You're not fighting the attachment. You're not making it wrong. You're just choosing presence instead. This is how you train yourself in quantum detachment. Not by forcing yourself to stop thinking about your ex, but by repeatedly choosing to return to the present moment. Over time, the attachment naturally weakens, not because you're suppressing it, but because you're no longer feeding it with your attention and energy. You're redirecting that energy toward being alive, being present, being here. Now let's talk about the role of forgiveness in keeping your heart open. This is tricky territory because people often think forgiveness means condoning what happened or letting someone off the hook. But true forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself, to free yourself from the burden of resentment. When you hold on to anger or bitterness toward your ex, you're keeping yourself energetically tied to them. You might think you've detached, but if you're still angry, you're still attached. The anger is a chain that binds you to them just as surely as love did. Quantum detachment requires releasing that chain, not for their sake, but for yours. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to like what they did or agree with how they treated you. It means you're choosing not to carry the weight of that story anymore. You're choosing to release them from your inner world, to stop giving them space in your mind and heart. This creates room for something new to emerge. And here's something crucial. You also need to forgive yourself. Often, we're harder on ourselves than we are on our ex. We replay our mistakes, we beat ourselves up for not seeing the signs earlier, we criticize ourselves for being too trusting or too naive or too whatever. This self-judgment keeps your heart closed, not to others, but to yourself. Quantum detachment includes radical self-forgiveness. You did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. You loved as fully as you knew how. You made decisions based on the information available to you. Maybe you made mistakes, we all do. That's how we learn. But those mistakes don't define you, and they don't diminish your worthiness of love. Let me share one final practice that integrates everything we've talked about. I call it the open heart meditation. Find a quiet space and place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That heartbeat has continued through everything, through the joy of falling in love, through the pain of the breakup, through every moment of your life. Your heart is resilient. Your heart is powerful. Your heart knows how to stay open even when everything in you wants to close down. Take a deep breath and imagine your heart as a vast, open sky. No matter what weather passes through, anger, sadness, loneliness, hope, the sky remains spacious and open. Say to yourself, I release what no longer serves me and I keep my heart open to life. I detach from what was and I remain available to what is. I am whole, I am healing, I am free. Practice this daily, especially when you feel yourself closing down or getting lost in attachment. It's a reminder that you have a choice. You can close or you can open. You can attach or you can be present. You can suffer or you can transform. As we close, I want you to understand that quantum detachment isn't about becoming emotionless or indifferent. It's about becoming so secure in yourself that you can feel everything without being destroyed by it. It's about being so connected to your own essence that you can let go of specific forms without losing your capacity for love. Your breakup isn't the end of your love story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. One where you learn to love yourself as deeply as you loved another. Where you discover that your heart doesn't need to be guarded, it needs to be honored. Where you realize that detachment and love aren't opposites, they're dance partners in the beautiful, complex, messy, miraculous experience of being human. Remember, you are not broken. You are breaking open, and through that opening, more light can enter. Your heart is not damaged by loving and losing. Your heart is expanded by it. Every person you've loved has left their mark on you, not as a wound, but as an imprint of your capacity to connect, to care, to open yourself to another human being. That capacity is still there. It always will be. And one day when you're ready, not when the pain is completely gone, but when you've made peace with it, you'll find yourself opening to love again. But this time, you'll do it differently. You'll do it with wisdom. You'll do it with boundaries. You'll do it with the knowledge that you can survive heartbreak, that you can detach without closing down, that you can love fully while remaining whole. This is the gift of quantum breakups. They don't destroy you. They reveal you. They show you who you are when everything you thought defined you falls away. And what remains is more powerful, more authentic, more beautiful than anything you lost. So keep your heart open, my friend. Detach from what's gone, but stay attached to your own becoming. The universe has more love in store for you than you can imagine. But first, you have to stay open enough to receive it. If this video resonated with you, if it helped you see your breakup in a new light, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Quantum Love. We're building a community of conscious hearts here. People who believe that love isn't about finding someone to complete you, but about becoming so whole that you can share that wholeness freely. More transformative content is coming your way. Until next time, stay open, stay present, and remember, you are loved, you are love, and you are enough exactly as you are.